Good afternoon. This is Keeping It Real with V and G. And today we have a special treat. We have a wonderful person who's going to come on in just a few minutes and talk to you about some mental health issues. All of the things that we've gone through the last year and a half, all of us have been affected with mental health issues. And mental health is something we can have just like we have a bad cold. So, this is especially important for us at this time, at this day and time, especially when you look back at the isolation and all of the other things we went through with COVID 19. And now we're in the midst of the Delta variant. I would like to take this time and introduce to you Miss Alicia Richardson. Alicia is a licensed professional counselor in Alabama. She holds a master's degree in marriage and family counseling and is currently working on her doctorate. She has over 18 years of experience working with individuals presenting various life challenges such as abuse, anxiety, depression, grief, loss, parenting issues, personal growth, and relationship issues. It takes a lot of courage and motivation to reach out for additional support, and she believes that everyone should have the opportunity to live a fulfilling life, and her holistic thinking integrates the mind with the body. Now, the next person you will hear and see is Miss Alicia Richardson.
Thank you, Miss V, for that introduction. I am so excited about being here today. I am here to set the record straight. Mental health, we all have it. I want to acknowledge and thank Keeping It Real with V and G for allowing me to share what matters to me. Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Richardson. I'm a licensed professional counselor, mental health therapist to some in the state of Alabama. In my work with young children and families, I consider myself to be an emotional regulator. People like the term emotional regulator better than they do mental health, and that's just because they don't understand what mental health actually is. And so, again, I'm here to set the record straight. I've also entitled myself as the number one mental health wellologist. I combine mental health practices with the concept of emotional wellness, and I consider myself to be a wellologist. I focus on supporting individuals as are becoming their best self, focusing on their emotional wellness and physical wellness practices. I strongly believe that there is a mind body connection. It is my desire to share helpful content with you that will support you on your journey to emotional wellness and mental health. I own and operate Heart of the Matter Counseling, and Heart of the Matter Counseling supports individuals as they examine their lives and rewrite their stories, creating the change where they feel change needs to be made. At Heart of the Matter Counseling, we believe that you create the change that you want to be in the world. And we are here to listen because your story matters. You matter. Due to the changes in the world, Heart of the Matter Counseling has changed how services are offered. Presently, face to face counseling services are not offered, but instead, telehealth therapeutic services. Telehealth therapeutic services means if you have a computer and the internet, you can request an appointment and you can be in your place of safety and comfort. And and still have a counseling session while I sit at my computer. I work with all age groups, individuals, and couples. Because mental health has been stigmatized throughout my lifetime, there are people that believe we do not have mental health or mental health is bad. I am here to dispel the myth. I'm an advocate for mental health, and I want to set the record straight and let you all know that we all have mental health and we all need to take care of our mental health. Many have believed the misconception that mental health is something bad, but it's not. Mental health matters to me, and I want mental health to matter to you. Mental health is important to healthy living, and we all should exercise in mentally healthy practices and focus on emotional wellness and mental health. Mental health does affect everyone. It includes our emotional, psychological, and social well being, and it affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. We all have mental health, but it's what you do with your mental health that matters. If you take it can take care of your mental health by developing healthy coping skills when you face difficult, challenging, and stressful situations. You are more apt to overcome those challenges much quicker than someone who does not have coping skills or healthy coping skills and strategies to use when you're faced with life challenges. It doesn't mean that life challenges are any different for anyone, but with healthy mental health practices, you set yourself up for a speedier recovery. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it does mean that it is possible. Many people go about their busy lives with stuff to do without stopping to take a physical break, yet alone a mental break. I often hear, I don't have the time, but I say you can't afford to not take time. Mental health is what you do to keep you going. It is a practice of self care and self compassion. So you might be asking, what exactly is self care? Self care is many things. It is the mindful taking of time to pay attention to you, to ensure that you are being cared for by you, and incorporating self care every day helps to serve as an armor to protect the energy that we need in order to survive and thrive. Self care goes a long way in managing stress and living your best life. Self care means recognizing when you're doing more than you're used to handling and trying to figure it out, um, and when you need to slow down. Self care means getting the sleep you need and knowing how to rest. Are you getting enough sleep for you? Do you know how much sleep your body requires? Making a serious effort to make that happen, as well as knowing how to rest your body and your mind, are essential. Self care means making sure that you're well fed. Does what you eat provide you the energy to keep you functional? Do you take time to eat meals at work? Or do you take time to have snacks when your body requires intermittent food during the workday? Self care means integrating favorite healthy foods into your everyday eating routines and planning ahead to make sure you have adequate nutrition throughout your day. Self care means finding a way to decompress throughout your day, not just when you leave work. What is it that you do to rest your mind during the workday? What helps you tune out the noise? Most people tell me they don't have the luxury of taking breaks during their workday. But imagine taking and integrating mini breaks throughout the day to refresh your mind and body, taking brain breaks. Try stretching or taking a brief walk, if only for a for a few feet away, getting yourself a drink of water, talking to a friend, getting in touch with a loved one, or sending a text, or purposely looking at photos that have special meaning. These brain breaks are important. Self care means giving some thought to changing a difficult work situation. We know what we need and what we can deal with. Is there anything that can be done to make work less stressful? Think about whether changes can be made to your work environment. Are you okay with where you sit and do your work? Are you working unsustainable hours? And is there some end in sight? Many of us just go on and on and on. It can be a matter of approaching a supervisor with things that will make your work more pleasant, such as changing where you sit or changing whether you take an earlier lunch or start at a later time. Self care means taking the time to get to know you better. Self care means learning to recognize your own temperament, identifying your triggers, and planning accordingly to lessen the inevitable stress that you may feel. That might be as simple as grabbing some almonds before a meeting that usually cuts into your lunch hour so you're not ridiculously hungry, or rethinking those fabulous but uncomfortable shoes. Doing so enhances our ability to live vibrantly, fully, and effectively. The practice of self care also reminds both you and others that your needs are valid and they are a priority. Everyone responds differently to stressful situations. With the changes to normal routines, isolation from social events that occurred during an in pandemic and also during quarantine, self-care is essential. The best way that you can care for yourself is to think about what you personally need to feel your best. There is a saying that almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Our mental health is impacted by our thoughts and the words that we rehearse to ourselves. Unfortunately, some of us have grown up hearing messages about who we are, messages that have negatively impacted and tried to shape and redefine our destiny. This is what I call faulty messaging and faulty thinking. I encourage you to focus on what matters. Focus on your mental health and begin to declare and to decree. Begin to make affirmations and speak life to your situation. What we carry in our heart and our mind dictates how we reach for our futures. I encourage you today to begin to think differently and to speak life to your situation. Develop a growth mindset. Developing a growth mindset is part of a healthy mental health practice. How we manage stress also impacts our mental health. We are all going to experience stressful situations because that is a part of life. And we don't have control over anyone other than ourselves. We must constantly examine how we are managing stress. Stress management can improve your mood, and some ways are decrease stress are exercise, nutrition, hydration, and rest, and also a good therapist or someone you trust. How we manage our time determines the quality of our mental health. Time management is a form of self care. With all of the anxiety and potential for a spiral of bad things that can happen, learning how to stay on top of your responsibilities can be the key to preventing the downward spiral. Some things that you can do for time management is not to overcommit yourself, to set manageable goals, to prioritize your self care, to take breaks, and to exercise daily. Your body can fight stress better when it is fit. Eat healthy, well balanced meals. Learn to manage your time more effectively. Set limits appropriately. And learn to say no to requests that would create excessive stress in your life. That's something that we all need to learn to do. Make time for hobbies, interest, and relaxation. So I hope that in our few minutes together today, I have set the record straight. I hope that you are able to see that we all have mental health, and what we do with our mental health does matter. I want you to know that self care is not selfish. You must fill your own cup before you can pour into others. Self care is taking care of our mental, physical, and emotional needs and engaging in activities that promote well being and reduce stress. Your journey is awaiting. This journey takes courage to embark on often undiscussed territory, to identify the culprit that keeps you from living your best life. Heart of the Matter Counseling supports you as you create the change you want to be in the world. I'm here to listen. Your story matters. You matter. Thank you, and have an amazingly wonderful Sunday afternoon.
Going to hang around so you can help us understand all of this and walk us through some of the things that you talked about today.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things, um, one of the questions we have is could you give us a layman's definition of mental health?
A layman's definition of mental health. Um, Being well, coping. What are your coping strategies? Um, how do you manage and handle difficult situations? Um,
Mhm.
and I think that would probably be the best way that I would describe being mentally healthy is being able to handle situations, and use coping skills and strategies.
Okay, all right, thank you. You talked about early on, you talked about the connection between the mind and body.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Wow. Yes, ma'am. So when you can only imagine, if you don't get enough rest at night. Okay, here's an example. So you don't get enough rest at night, and you wake up the next morning, you may feel tired. You still have to interact with others. You still have to interact with either children or people that you work with, but you're tired. And
Mhm.
so you're much easier to maybe snap, or when I say snap, let me clarify, not respond appropriately if you're feeling a sense of being overwhelmed or tired. But if you are rested, if you're feeling well rested, you may take more time to think about your responses when you are engaging with other people. So, this mind body connection is really about you taking care of your physical self, you getting enough rest, you staying hydrated, you eating nutritious food so that your body feels well. And when your body feels well, you're more apt to respond appropriately to many situations. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes, it
Mm-hmm.
does.
Yes. I think, oftentimes we are extremely busy. And one of the things that I have found, which has been very amazing, is during pandemic, it feels like I'm busier than I was when we weren't in pandemic. And
Yes.
Mhm.
so I have to take that extra time. I have to set time, aside for self-care. I have to set time aside for myself. And one of the things that I find that I do for myself, one of my coping strategies is walking and in with my plants. Um, I've never been a plant person. It seemed like this year I started, and during pandemic, I started identifying things that it's like, okay, because I didn't like dirt. I'm a little girl, I didn't like dirt. And now I
Mhm.
find myself playing in the dirt, and I find great joy in
Mhm.
that. And I use
Mhm.
my plants as my prayer garden, and
Yeah.
so. I have to take time to set aside for myself if I am going to pour into others.
Yeah.
Because when we sit with other people, if I'm tired, I can't hear the people that are sitting with me because I'm
Yeah.
focused on me. And so that doesn't really help others. So, it doesn't really matter what profession you're in, what career you have, what job you do. It's always best for us to present our best self wherever we go. And it's kind of difficult to do that if you're hungry, and it's difficult to do that if you're sleepy. So those
Yeah.
are some of the things that I encourage for self-care so that our best self can show up wherever we are.
Okay. Thank you. One of the other questions that we have is, I know you talked about telehealth
Yes.
and you talked about the computer. What about people who may not have access to a computer, but they have cell phones? Can they still access your services?
Yes, ma'am. If they have internet, that's really, internet is the key to telehealth.
Okay.
Um, so if they have access to the internet, then they can definitely access the services that I provide. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now, you talked about your ages. What would be the youngest? Because I know uh, you and I both know that you've done work with really young children. So, what
Mhm.
would be the youngest age that you could serve?
Wow. Well, it's kind of a loaded question, and I say that because when you're working with expectant moms, the
Yes.
baby is not born yet, and so what we understand is expectant moms, we need to care for them while they're caring for the unborn. And so the youngest out of the womb.
Yeah.
um
Okay.
I, I guess I would say we can do as young as 6 months to a year,
Okay.
because one of the things that people do not understand when we talk about mental health, we just think babies don't have mental health, but babies are learning how to connect with others. And we talk
Yeah.
about attachment and the importance of attachment, the importance of our connection and what we do with young children. Another thing that we don't tend to understand is that trauma affects young children.
Yeah.
You know, um, there could be traumatic events happening around us that we as adults do feel, and we are not, we think because babies can't see it, and they don't understand what's happening, that they don't feel it, but they're feeling. If you're stressed out, or if you're not engaging with them, or something is going on with you, that's something that they're not receiving. They're not getting that connection that they need in
Yeah.
order for their appropriate development. And
Mhm.
so I believe that even young children, but the work is not done when you're dealing with really young children of that age. The work is not done with the child alone. The work
Yeah.
is done with the parent and the child.
Mhm. Okay. All right. One last question, and this is one that we want you to address, of course, from a mental health angle. We have a vast number of unemployed people, and we have lots of jobs out there. Is there a mental health explanation as to why we have this dichotomy?
Hmm. Wow, Miss V, you've asked me a question I don't have the answer to. You've asked me a question I often ask. You know, it could be a variety of things. I mean, we are in a time and space that, and it's kind of repetitive to say this, but we've never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah.
And so there could be a number of reasons, but to answer it from a space of mental health, I'm not sure that I can do that. That answer is not coming to me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we do appreciate you sharing today with us.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thank you
we
for
have
having
one other question, and then we'll get you off the hot seat. Okay.
me. Yes, yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
hi, Alicia. I have a question.
Yes.
You did you mention your rates? I didn't hear the rates that you have for your services, or and also your days of the week that you provide services.
So I am providing, as I said, the telehealth services, and they are primarily evening appointments,
Evening.
anywhere from 5 to 8,
Is
Monday
that
through
also
Friday.
the weekend on Sunday, Saturdays?
No, no Saturdays, no Sundays at this time.
Okay.
Um, because 5 to 8, I need, again, we're talking about self-care, and so I
Yes.
have to
Mhm.
practice what I preach, so I need time to get myself together. But as far as my rates, I work based on your income, and so anyone, I do not accept insurance at this time. It is private pay, so anyone that is interested can get in contact with me, and I can send them what the rates would be based on their income.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, we certainly have enjoyed you today, and
Thank you for having me.
I want to remind our listeners that Alicia Richardson will also join our list of experts, and we're going to have her come in on a regular basis. We believe the mental health is a very important issue, and we, as well as Alicia, we need to stay on top of this. So
Yes.
we will give you some additional information as to when we will be able to plug her in, and we will get some mental health updates on a monthly basis. Thank
Yes.
you again, Alicia. And
Thank
we
you.
have your information posted on our Facebook page so that people who are interested can see how to contact you. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. And ladies and gentlemen, that takes care of it today for keeping it real with V and G. We've had a wonderful guest today, and she shared some very helpful information for all of us. And as she said, we all have mental health, and it's just a matter of what we do with it that makes it become either a positive thing for us or something that we have to get some assistance for. We will leave you today, and we hope that you will join us next week, same day, same channel, same time. We will see you next week, Sunday, 4 o'clock. Good evening.